And hello everyone, how is everyone doing? It is Peter Sandanara, Gauge Engine here, and today we are doing episode number 3, I believe, of Rating the Railway series. Let's pull these bad boys out. Okay, so we have James the Red Engine here and Edward the Blue Engine. We'll take a look at this one first, obviously, and then move on to Edward the Blue Engine later. James the Red Engine was written and released in 1948, written by, obviously, the Reverend Wilbur Awdry, and obviously illustrated by C. Reginald Dalby. It has 4 stories like all of the other ones: James and the Top Hat, James and the Bootlaces, Troublesome Trucks, and James and the Express. I think you'll find that this one is the one that most of the fandom find to be their least favourite book, and that is because of the stories, and they are boring as hell. So our story starts with James and the Top Hat, quite literally the most bland of all of the Awdry stories. I mean, Thomas's train was bad, but this is dialing it back even further. James is scared because he got Sir Topham Hatt's hat wet when he blew steam at the platform, and then he just overruns a platform. That's it. I mean, that's about as bland as Thomas's train. I'm trying to look for the redeeming feature. I don't think there is one, if I'm honest. I think this is really just nothing. This is a nothing story, just like Thomas's train, Thomas and the Guard. Just all around pretty bad. Obviously, James is red here. He was in a black coat in the previous story, and the reason he's in a red coat now is just to make him feel better. The Fat Controller had to kiss some arse there, apparently. James is very much a good character, but he just comes from a shit book, doesn't he? And this story clearly demonstrates that. James in the Bootlace is pretty much the exact same thing, alright? Gordon messes up, he goes around the loop accidentally and comes back, and James is tasked with pulling the train. James accidentally bursts a brake pipe in one of the coaches or something, and they tie it up with bootlaces and newspaper. It's a very iconic story, but it's something we've just seen in the last story. Alright, James accidentally messes up and he feels bad, and he, I'm so sorry. Now this one's a bit better because it's so iconic, you know, the bootlaces and the newspaper tying up the coach. It's a very iconic thing. But again, something we've just seen. Obviously, this story is better because it's so much more iconic, but only by a bit, you know. There's not many redeeming features. I mean, it's got a bit more story, but apart from that, I mean, this is I've just said it about 5 times, but it is the exact same thing. Now, Troublesome Trucks is the best story in this book, in my opinion. It's where things get interesting for James in his pursuit for being a really useful engine. James is tasked with pulling a goods train, and he pulls it up Gordon's Hill when it snaps, and it's a runaway, you know, but James tries again, you know. He doesn't let the trucks overcome him. I can't speak. And when James finally gets his train there to his destination, you feel so empowered for it. You feel proud for him. You feel pride. That's what you feel. Not like I've just been saying. The Fat Controller's pleased. The readers are pleased. Everyone's pleased. James is pleased. Edward's pleased because he didn't have to push someone up a hill again. It's all good in this book. It's all good so far. And then we get to this. Okay, so James and the Express, I just realised, is the one where Gordon goes around the loop accidentally and ends up back at the station. My fault. Apparently James and the Bootlace is something else, but that just goes to show how similar these stories all are. But anyway, yeah, Gordon is a prat again, and he boasts, and he's like, oh, look at me, I'm the best, and then he realises he isn't, and then James goes to help, you know, he goes and pulls the Express, and he does it tremendously well, and everyone's pleased at the end. Round of applause for James. This isn't as good as Troublesome Trucks before it, but, I mean, it's still worthy of, like, you know, some credit, because I think these last 2 stories are really good. They have better story, you know, better appreciation for James, you know, they're just better than the first 2. So, you know, there's that. Alright, if you like James and the Bootlace, I'm sorry, but I don't. Not that much. So let's move on to our second book we're looking at today, which is Edward the Blue Engine. Hopefully this one will be better. Edward the Blue Engine was written in 1954 by the Reverend Wilbur Awdry, obviously. And it was also illustrated by C. Reginald Dalby once again. Edward the Blue Engine, I feel, is definitely better, superior. It has 4 stories: Cows, Berties Chase, Save from Scrap, and Old Iron. And obviously, if you watched my top 20 Thomas and Friends episodes, you'll know that Old Iron featured quite highly on there. So there's that. Now, first up here we have Cows. Cows is about Edward's kerfuffle with a group of cows that are grazing on a farm. They take away his train, and then Gordon and Henry laugh at him until they are stopped by cows also. It's a very nice tale about comeuppance and stuff. It is very basic. It feels like just a very basic story. It's got charm to it. It's got creativity. It's something that probably happens all the time in real life. It's very charismatic. It's very real life influenced. I gotta love it. It's not as good as some of the others on here, but you know what? It's worthy of some praise. Also, I should say that the overriding story here is that Edward is old and out of date, and then obviously he proves everyone else wrong, that he is still very useful even if he is old, which I can appreciate. You know, don't get me wrong, I love a good, you know, coming of age story. Well, not coming of age, but you know what I mean. It's the opposite of coming of age, realising that you're still useful when you're old. I don't know. Now, Bertie's Chase is better, alright? It just is. It's just better. It takes Bertie, you know, Bertie, someone we've seen before, a recurring character that's brought back, you know. I like how they do that. Yeah, they bring him back to chase Edward. And that's literally the whole episode. Not episode, I keep saying that. Story. Why is it so hard to say story instead of episode? I don't know. But it was better in the episode. So, you know, there's that. It's a great story, you know. I don't know if a bus would take that drastic of measures to get passengers on a train. But yeah, apart from that, it's got a nice charm. And I've got to give it some praise because it's cute and adorable. Now, Save from Scrap is another great episode. Edward's consideration for another, you know, and trying to find somewhere that Trevor would like to be. Obviously, if Trevor was real, he would be a child predator, but he's not. So, he likes children. That's his personality. By the way, if you didn't know, so these allegations aren't unfounded. Trevor's backstory is nice, you know. He was left to rust because, you know, he couldn't be kept because they couldn't afford to keep him. So, you know, there's a nice bit of reality there thrown in. This is the tamer version of Escape, and you know what? Gotta love this story because it built up Escape. So, you know, gotta appreciate it. It's very nice to see Edward care for another like this. I don't think he really has that much of a caring side really shown that much. I mean, he's kind, but you never really see him take this much of a, you know, a drastic step to help another, you know. And this is kind of where I'd thrown an unpopular opinion out there. I think Here Are the Rails should have really been centered around Edward, not Thomas, because obviously Edward's saved from scrap before, so why not do it all again? This story really deals with death in a unique way. It's so light-hearted, yet so dark, and that's one of the things that really draws you to this, you know. It's very, very dark in a nice way. And now we move on to Old Iron, the best Edward the Blue Engine story here, because, oh my god, what a ride. Again, even when you're reading it, you can still feel the tenseness. You can still feel everything that Audrey was trying to write onto those pages. Everything that C. Reginald Dalby was drawing on those pages. It's hard not to, like, hate, you know? It's hard to, like, not like it. It's so good. It's easily a fan favourite. It's easily one of the most iconic ones when you think about Edward, apart from Edward's exploit. But, you know, we're not talking about that. So, yeah, this is the best Edward the Blue Engine story because of the chase scene, you know, James's comeuppance, because it's obviously going to be James in it. I've talked about it enough, really. There's nothing more to say. If you haven't really heard me discuss this yet, go watch my top 10 list of the top 10 episodes of all time for me, and my ranking every season 2 episode video. Those will clearly show you why I love this episode in the way I do. Or story, you know, or story. I know, I keep saying it, it's annoying. Okay, so now my favourite part, the rankings, and I'm sorry if these are shaky today, but oh well. Anyway, for James the Red Engine, James of the Top Hat got 1.5 out of 5. I believe that's the lowest I've scored a story so far. Yeah, pretty sure. James of the Bootlace got 2 out of 5. Troublesome Trucks got 3.5 out of 5. James and the Express got 2.5 out of 5, giving a total of 4.75 out of 10. Edward the Blue Engine, Cows, got 2 out of 5. Berties Chase got 2.5 out of 5. So from Scrap got 3 out of 5. And Old Iron got 4 out of 5, giving a total of 5.75 out of 10. So, who won that battle? Well, it was obviously Edward the Blue Engine. James the Red Engine was never going to win, was it? So, obviously, read both. Read James the Red Engine with a lot of patience. There's one good story in there. There's a few. There's 2. Edward the Blue Engine, however, has 4 pretty good stories. Appreciate them all. It's easy to read, you know. They're very nice and just plain old lovely. Anyway, my name's been Peter Sam, the Narrow Gauge Engine. This has been Rating the Real Railway Series episode 3. And I'll see you in Tales from the Railway episode 2, Mike and the Waterfall. Watch out for it, folks.